Hey, welcome back to the Travel Winds podcast. Today, my guest is singer, songwriter. I gotta assume Chris Erasmus. How are you today, Chris?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
Doing excellent, actually.
Oh, good to hear it.
We've talked about the weather a little bit before, so
You got to talk about the weather, right?
right now you're based in London, right?
Yeah, I'm in London at the moment. Yeah.
So how does a do you count yourself as a country singer or pop?
Well, I'm pretty country. I grew up in a place called Zimbabwe, Victoria Falls. We work on a farm back there. We're farmers out that way, my family and stuff. So yeah, we keep pretty busy with cattle and wine and my family grew up doing uh conservation in Zimbabwe, so like wildlife conservation. So yeah, pretty country. It wasn't originally meant to be country, but we kind of ended up doing country. It kind of came out country, and that's what they were saying. Hold on a sec, sorry. Just get a bit of noise from outside. There we go.
That's all good. Well, no, I asked that because your Josh Groban is pretty spot on.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, well, I trained as a classical singer, and work in musical theater as well. So you got to learn to sing a whole lot of different things. But when I started writing and kind of creating the music, it came out country because you got to kind of write what you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh, but I appreciate that. Yeah, I enjoy a bit of Groban.
Yeah. You kind of have to. I mean, that song is so iconic too. So.
Yeah, I mean Groban's got a buttery voice and it manages to do most things well when he sings it. So
It's the old adage, you could sing the phone book and still sound good.
yeah, you try not to be jealous. You got your Sinatras and your Grobans and your Stapletons. They can all kind of do that.
It's like, oh, well, that's Stapleton. He can do whatever he wants. So,
Yeah, yeah.
what's the music scene in London right now? Is it good?
London's got a great music scene. I mean, we've got like Camden. I don't know if you've heard of Camden Town. It's you know, you're kind of a lot of singers have kind of come up and come through there. So it's a great gigging scene. Country scene's been a bit slower, but it's sped up over the last few years. Especially, now you got Beyonce kind of releasing country albums, Post Malone doing
Yeah.
his country stuff, Stapleton's doing things with like Pink and yeah, so we got a great lot of stuff. And then yeah, so it keeps us kind of busy. And a lot of places to gig and perform and that kind of thing. So
Do you
it's a
get
great.
out of England much? Do you just hit the
Oh yeah.
channel and
Oh yeah, I'm in the States a fair bit. I go home to visit my family in South Africa now. They're based in Cape Town quite a lot, so do that flight a fair bit. I studied in Australia, so I spend a lot of time out that way.
so
And
where haven't you been?
I haven't done Greenland. I haven't done there are parts of Europe I haven't done, which I still want to do. Iceland's on the list. Kind of, I do a lot of fly fishing. My family's big fly fishermen, so I like to kind of travel and fly fish and do all that kind of stuff.
So
Uh,
that's the outside hobby.
oh yeah, I
If
mean
I can
fly
gig and
fishing.
fly fish, it'd be all good.
Oh yeah, we'd be happy. And obviously my mom is a professional horseman, so we kind of spend a lot of time on horses. So anyway, there's horses. We end up as well. But been pretty lucky with the travel down in Argentina. I was there on a sports tour, and that was my other kind of thing. I had to play a bit of sport to pay for the university and the study, because music sometimes doesn't do it. But yeah,
Sometimes. How about most?
yeah. But yeah, it's been pretty good. And yeah, lucky to travel. But I think the Greenland's on the list, definitely. Iceland's pretty good. Definitely want to get up to Alaska. I've heard really good things about that. So yeah,
That's what I want to hit too.
yeah, yeah. And then there's parts of Africa which are pretty iconic. Uganda. I've done a fair bit in Africa, but Uganda's for the gorillas. They got their kind of
Yeah.
mountains and gorillas and stuff. But it's a tricky place to travel with the political climate out there. So
My dad did a lot of traveling in Africa and Central Africa, and it was interesting.
yeah, yeah. Central Africa, you gotta kind of take it as it comes and be adaptable and be prepared to get stuck in places for long periods of time.
Yeah, he traveled with he wasn't allowed to move around without a guy with a machine gun.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. That's not unheard of. Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, no, there's a lot of that. Big Falls, Zimbabwe, where I'm from, and my parents grew up in a civil war over there, so it's not a new concept for us, unfortunately.
Well, it's obviously like I live in Los Angeles. People are like, oh, I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
you could be in multi-million-dollar homes and 15 minutes later be in the hood.
yeah. I mean, any big city, I find London's got the same thing. You can have these amazing kind of boroughs of Chelsea, and then you kind of pop across the river and take a wrong turn, and you're in a place where people are,
Yeah.
government housing. So it does seem to be, but I know LA's got pretty contrasting areas. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, I'm 20 minutes away from Compton right here.
Oh, cool. I mean, cool in some ways. It's got a great history and a very interesting history, Compton, but it's
Yeah.
pretty tough to get around there. I've heard.
That's that's what people always ask me, like, what they're like, oh, what, you're a Californian. I'm like, California's a big place.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the States is just huge. Like I always tell people, I'm like, you guys do not understand how big America actually is. Until you've traveled it and like I've lived and worked in New York, I've lived and worked in Montana. Like until you really get around, you
Yeah.
don't realize how amazingly big that country is and how diverse. Yeah.
So you're doing a lot of traveling for a lot of different things.
Oh yeah.
How what do you do for jet lag? I'm super curious. I just went through this, so I'm asking people right now.
Oh yeah. Well, it depends. I find if I'm going right to left, so like if you look at the map,
Yeah,
as we know, like the standard map, if I'm flying right to left, I find it's not quite as bad as left to right.
100%.
Um, so what I try to do is I try land because they're super hydrated, and then go for like a 10K run, so a couple mile run, so run for about an hour. Chill, don't take anything like no alcohol or like sugar drinks and pop or anything like that. And that really helps me. And then try to be really disciplined that first kind of day and a half. Otherwise, man,
Wiping.
I struggle. Otherwise, it's completely out the window and my brain's kind of doing its own thing. And but yeah, it's jet lag's real. I mean, that's when you're traveling like left to right, it's hard. Yeah.
Yeah, that I just went to the East Coast and it wiped me out. And I was there
Yeah.
for 10 days. So right at the end, I started getting used to it, and then I had to come back. But I'm with you. Like coming back, I was like, okay, it's not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you still feel it, but I find there's two things with jet lag for me. Like one is if the time difference is really big, so like 8 or 9 hours, that's brutal, but almost quicker for your body to adjust because everyone's asleep when you're awake. Like there's
Yeah.
nothing to do. Like, so if you kind of discipline, I find the ones that really throw me are like the 2 hours or the 3 hours,
Yep.
because like you waking up a lot earlier or a lot later, and then I find I lose a lot of sleep. Like if there's only a 2 hour time difference because you're going to bed later or earlier, and then you're waking up later or earlier, and then you're losing 4 hours because you're sleeping 2 hours later and then getting up 2 hours earlier.
Yeah.
And that really messes with me. That's the one that really catches
That's
me.
the killer. That's me too. I, like
Oh,
when I go to Nashville or my daughter lives in Knoxville, which is 3 hours,
cool.
and it just it crushes me. I don't know why. I mean, I know
Yeah, I
why,
think
but
people underestimate that. Yeah, that 1 or 2 hour can really catch you, like really just kick you in the ass sometimes.
well, even like how do you deal with like international travel? Do you find that easier?
Yeah, yeah. I like it when the flight's a bit longer, the planes tend to be a bit bigger, international travel. You can kind of settle in, have your pillows and kind of really
Yeah.
mentally prepare for it. I think the domestic stuff, if you're flying domestically and it's 6 hours, that's just the roughest. I mean, I've done that a couple of times and I've struggled way more than like 14 hours to Australia. Yeah.
Well, see, like I go to Hawaii, and that's 5.5 to almost 6 hours,
Yeah.
but going right to left, so it's not too bad. It's just I end up waking up like 2 in the morning.
Yeah. It puts you off. Although I have to be honest, like waking up in Hawaii, there's worse places to have jet
Yeah, yeah.
lags.
You wake
Yeah.
up at 2 a.m. and it feels like it's middle of the day.
It's great. So it's when you wake up at like 2 a.m. and you're like in a city where everything's shut down and it's
Yeah.
cold and raining and you don't know what to do
I
with
know. I
yourself.
woke up in Tokyo a couple times. It was like 4 in the morning, and I'm like, I'm going for a walk because I knew there was
Yeah.
stuff open. Like the 7-Elevens
Yeah.
were open and restaurants were open. People are drinking and eating still.
Yeah, I mean the Japanese have a great culture out there. Like everything's clean and runs on time, and they're ready. Like I've never been there, but I've worked with quite a few Japanese people over a period of time. And when I was studying and training in Australia, like a lot of Japanese people came and studied down there, and I found them really delightful, and just the organization and the respect kind of element was amazing. So it's definitely on the list. I want to go powder skiing up there. They've got some good snow up that way.
Yeah. Yeah, you go up in Sapporo and all that.
Mm.
It,
Some
it's uh it just like you said, we took the public transportation, I think 11 out of the 12 days we were there. One train was 1 minute late once,
yeah,
and they
yeah.
apologized for it.
It's wild. It's their expectations of public transport is something we should all aspire to.
Exactly. I'm like that. We were going around like that wouldn't work in California. Nope, that wouldn't work in California.
Yeah, we have the same problem in the UK. Like I mean, the trains, like if they'll just cancel the train like middle of the day, trying to get to
Yeah.
work, rush hour, and they're like, yeah, that train's not coming, and we're like,
Now what?
and they're like, yeah, that train's not coming, and I'm like, yeah, but we paid for the ticket, and they're like, yeah, you gonna give us a refund? No. How are we gonna get there? No. Yeah, it's like,
Exactly, and that's in Japan. That would never happen. I mean, I could see them. We saw one where they give you signs inside the trains, so like for your connecting trains, because
oh
everything's about
wow,
connections. And one train, and I took a picture of it. It was canceled because of a deer collision,
wow.
and it said deer collision. I'm like,
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's easier when they give you the real reason too. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like sometimes, oh yeah, signal failure, and you're like, yeah, but you said that yesterday and the day before. Have you
Oh,
still
but
not
they have
signal
trains
failure?
every 4 to 6 minutes.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, so
It's
you like that's why people are running there. They're always in a
yeah.
hurry.
There isn't a hurry. Well, everything runs exactly on time, so I
Yeah,
suppose
yeah.
being
There's
ready
no
to ride
lateness.
it a little bit.
Yeah, we took the bullet train from Osaka back up to Tokyo, and it was a minute late. And they said that they would make up the time difference on the trip.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That I've heard really good things about the bullet train. That's like a bucket list thing just to see it work. I mean, what an amazing machine.
you got to go on it. It's for me because I travel so much. Like we paid for the upgrade, and so you're in these seats, and it's like I'm on an airplane. I mean,
Yeah.
it has the overhead baggage and the two seats, and the table flips down, but there's no seat belt,
Yeah.
and it is dead smooth. Like they say,
Yeah.
you could put a glass of water on the table and it won't shake off.
They use magnets, right, or something
I don't
to
know.
keep it steady. I remember there was some really smart kind of solution to the getting rid of the friction, and that's why they can get it to go so quick. Yeah.
And it's so smooth.
Yeah, man, that's amazing. Yeah, it's a cool place. It's definitely on the list. I've really got to get out there. Yeah.
What else? What's been your most influential place you've been to so far?
I mean, there's been a few, like obviously growing up in Africa, like Zimbabwe and like the culture and the wildlife and the people are pretty special out there.
Yeah,
Despite having really, really bad dictators. I mean, Robert Mugabe is a special person. He did some really bad stuff, and the people just managed to stay so resilient and so like happy with like these terrible kind of conditions and
conditions. Yeah,
challenges. So it's quite I learned a lot of lessons early on from that. Not to rely on the government to make you happy or to like solve your problems,
yeah,
which is kind of proving more and more prevalent as kind of years go on. So that's been a huge one. America was massive, like studying out in New York with a woman called Susan Batson, and then studying kind of tap dance and music out there, and really understanding kind of the African American culture, and then going to Montana and working as a cowboy out there, and really understanding like the Montana cowboy way and like the real Western guys, and really seeing a very old way of life that's kind of been preserved out there,
yeah,
which is kind of dying out a little bit, sadly. But man, there's some tough people out there, like just unbelievably skillful and handy, and just can do whatever they need to do and just get it done. And it's impressive. It's just unbelievable. So like that was a huge influence on me, and eye-opening to see that kind of way of life and using a horse, as freely as you use a car, and
yeah,
it's pretty special, and seeing how kind of the understanding of the land and different people's perspectives of the land, and I was lucky enough to work with my boss's husband was one of the Lakota elders out there, so like they invited me to the reservation out there and kind
that's
of
a different feeling
see
too.
that part of the culture, yeah, and just kind of trying to understand that side as somebody who's a complete outsider. It was really interesting and kind of coming from a place that, I mean, we're very tribally based in Africa, like, and kind of so understanding a tribal concept very, very well. um, and then seeing it applied in a different part of the world. It was really interesting.
I was going to ask you, that's got to affect your music. You know,
Yeah, I mean,
you have a lot
yeah.
of influences.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was strange. I was we were quite isolated in Zimbabwe. So my grandmother, who was a big kind of TCM fan, this Turner Classic Movies channel,
Yeah, yeah,
she used to like video record all of them. So I grew up kind of watching, Fred Astaire, Gene Kelly, Frank Sinatra, and then kind of, your and then my dad was like Bruce Springsteen, Dire Straits. And then, my mom kind of was like Hank Williams, Johnny Cash. So it was this weird kind of mix of things that kind of influenced my music. And then I never really thought about genre
yeah.
as a music thing. I just kind of play the music and kind of see where it goes. And it turned out that most people were like, "Yeah, it's country," and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." You know, but it's got a bit of Bruce in there. There's a bit of folk in there. There's a bit of, I love kind of hearing what the rhythm of something sounds like with my kind of tap side of things, working with women like Lisa Latouche and these amazing Barbara Duffy, these amazing kind of tap coaches, and understanding rhythm,
Yeah.
and then trying to apply that to like music that's very guitar heavy is quite an interesting thing. And then obviously your Africa with the types of drums that they'll use and the type of rhythm that they use out there. And the type of singing that they'll do, and the way that your voice is used in an African language, it's very melodic, not unlike Welsh in some elements. So yeah, it hugely influential, but mostly just learning lessons to kind of apply and then just trust that those influences kind of come into the music.
You hope, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, you kind of hope you hope it kind of works. And
I was going to ask, what do you think of I call it the single era. Like during COVID, it was everybody was just doing singles. And now
yeah,
I'm starting to see some artists do albums. Like they're putting a collection of music together instead of just doing one single at a time. What do you think about that?
yeah. I mean, I think it's got a lot to do with the fact that streaming is so tricky at the moment.
Yeah.
So trying to generate, um, social media really became a major factor in how you release an album. So you're really trying to create heat and momentum. And if you release an entire album straight away, that momentum people forget. Social media people are getting so overwhelmed with influence like music, and you turn TikTok on and you're just getting reams of stuff and you can't turn it down, and
Yeah.
then TikTok, and you refresh it. So people are getting so much thrown at them all the time, and then kind of I think the solution to that was, in my opinion again, that how do I keep momentum in something like a social media? It's like a post to post basis. Is you've got to kind of make everything smaller. TikTok's playing 30 seconds of a song, so you just got to kind of.
Max. Yeah.
And then so how do you maximize an album? So a lot of people will have like an album written and then release them as singles to try be able to release throughout the whole year as opposed to releasing once every 2 years. So I think it was very much an industry thing, and I think now you're having this big kind of changing of the perspectives. I think there's a huge pushback on short songs. You got guys like Bruno Mars, Gaga, Swift, Stapleton. They're starting to write longer songs again. One of my favorite writers, Foy Vance, he always kind of keeps a longer format. So I think people are getting a little bit over kind of trying to find your kind of viral moment. They're not trying to go
Yeah.
viral as much as trying to write good music and kind of really structure stories. And people are really getting drawn towards that a little bit more again, of like that kind of storytelling.
You
Um,
mentioned all the big names, and I think to a certain extent they could do that because people are going to listen to a Jelly Roll song or a
mm,
Stapleton song that's longer. So
yeah,
it's going to be interesting, for the up and comers that
yeah,
are you going to
and
get more in your 2 minute and 45 seconds?
there's very much two kind of, and again from what I've seen, there's very too much two kind of trains of thought. Some of the up and comers are very much get hits up on TikTok, generate that kind of thing with the 30-second kind of
Yeah.
really great catchy hook for 30 seconds, and then fill the rest and then get back to the chorus as quick as you can. And there's value to that, and if you do that well, it's great. I think the other side of things, and this is kind of, I mentioned the big names because they do a lot of the time set the tone for the
Yeah.
rest of
What's
us.
coming?
Yeah, I mean, look at Beyonce with releasing kind of her version of a country album.
Yeah.
Really, kind of suddenly, you got everyone talking about country music, and the Grammys literally changed criteria to try and make country music more inclusive.
Yeah.
So like it does change, those kind of people do change the way we look and think about music, and they've earned the right to do so. So I always watch very carefully what they kind of do and take leads from people that I respect and really like. I've always liked kind of your Springsteens and your I've always liked telling stories. Cash was an amazing storyteller. Hank Williams, Willie Nelson, these guys are like storytellers.
Yeah.
And I was interested in writing music because I'm also my other jobs. I'm an actor. I like telling stories. So I'm not as good at writing the kind of 30-second hooks. So sometimes to my manager's frustration, I kind of put my head down and I'm like, well, I'm telling a story and they really would need to go to the bathroom or go on their phones while I'm
And let
doing
them
it.
go.
Let them do it. Like I've just got to trust that, when the right people are going to listen and kind of keep making quality music and keep telling stories and trying to reach people who maybe sometimes need, to sit down and put their phone up for 3 minutes as opposed to 45 seconds, you know.
Well, see, as a travel, like, I mean, I just did, man, I just did 5 hour drive coming home from Vegas. It was a 5 hour drive there.
Oh,
It could be a 4 hour flight to Nashville, So there's just hour chunks. And then when I drive to Northern California, it's a 6 hour drive plus.
yeah, yeah.
So I have more than the 3 minutes, but I get it. It's just, it's the, like you said, it's like the hook.
Yeah, it's the hook, and I mean, when it's a good hook, man, some of those songs are great. Teddy Schwimm's "I Lose Control," and these guys they're amazing artists in their own right. But I think that Meatloaf and these guys, like those are the kind of guys that I've always liked the music. Even
Yeah.
Josh Groban, the classical music it tells a story. It's a progression. These composers didn't just write hooks. Beethoven, Chopin, Bach, like there's a progression to what they're trying to do. Even, if you look at kind of the later guys, writing, the guys who wrote music for Singing in the Rain, and there's still a story to what they're telling, and I think the musical theater influence too, like really makes me kind of hold on to that. But I mean, the cool thing is, and I think in America, this is also wonderful, is that you guys still have, the radio still got a lot of power.
Yeah.
People want to road, you guys do the road trip, the 5 hour road trip to Vegas, and you got, the radio, you've got like these playlists, and there is that's kind of like that kind of urban myth legend kind of road trip in America that everyone kind of thinks about and dreams of. It can be long, but I mean, if the music's good and you're heading in the right direction, it can be pretty
I,
fun.
I, I, I always like people find out I have Hawaii as my territory, and I'm like, okay, but I'm not going to Hawaii and sitting on the beach and drinking Mai Tais. It's like I'm going from Honolulu. The next day, I've got to go over to Kauai. The next day after that, I have to go to Maui. The next day after that, I have to go to the Big Island.
Yeah,
I always try and
yeah,
put a couple of days in somewhere at the beginning or at the end.
yeah. I mean, like
Between them, just island hopping.
you gotta enjoy the Hawaii for what it is. I mean, I've never done Hawaii. I've done Indonesia and I've surfed out there for a bit. Spent a couple of months out in the islands out there in the Mentawais, which is pretty special. And so I do enjoy island living. Sometimes we get out to a couple of islands, go fly fishing, saltwater fly fishing out there, and it's wonderful. But I hear you. I can't sit still on the beach for very long. I get pretty antsy, and I love exploring and seeing what the locals do. And.
So I was going to ask. I always ask, like if you schedule a tour, do you try and put in extra time, or are you just one city one night, one city one night, one city one night?
Honestly, like my schedule will usually revolve around kind of what's selling where, what schedule needs to. I don't really. I'm not unfortunately at the stage where I can schedule. Have a huge demand for what I want. I get in where I can get in, and I play when I tell me to play, and I kind of hang out. But I do have a massive curiosity. I love even straight after a gig, I can't just like switch off. So I'll go and do like a walk around or like go and explore a little bit. Or
Yeah.
I'm a history. I love history. So like I'll go and research kind of where I'm going, and if there's anything like of relevance that really interests me, I'll make time to go see that. There's always time if you make time. If you get up early enough
Yeah.
and drink enough coffee, you can make things happen.
Or don't drink too much coffee at night so you can wake up super early and get moving.
Yeah, or both, to be honest.
I tell you, in Japan, most of the stores don't open till 10 a.m.
Yeah,
And so, like between 8 and 10, there's almost no traffic.
yeah,
Like, up from Kyoto to Osaka to parts of Tokyo, it was like you go out in the morning and you can see everything. You go out about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, there's 10,000 people in front of a museum, and you're like,
Yeah, no, that's always tough. One of my favorite things to do is if I come to a new city is for the first 3 days I get up really early and go for a run through the city and like just have a vague kind of planned loop that I do
yeah,
and I see some cool things. I was in when I was in Paris recently, I did that and ended up running around the whole of Paris at like 6 a.m. and there was just no one out and it was
yeah,
sunny and it was gorgeous and it's Notre Dame being rebuilt quietly. It was pretty cool. So I do enjoy doing that. And as you say, like you do see a lot of things and there's no people around.
yeah,
Yeah,
just great.
yeah, it's pretty cool. I enjoy that. Yeah.
But, so you talked about running. How do you stay in shape while you're traveling so much? Is it just
Running's a big one. Running's a big one. I usually kind of make sure that I'm fit for anything I do. So do a lot of like training and prep and really like a lot of my hobbies like I'll go and I'll do like a triathlon and travel to do that kind of stuff too.
I'll just go do a
Um,
triathlon? Not a lot of people say that, Chris, by the way.
yeah, I mean, look, I'm really lucky, and I come from a background that was pretty active, and my family's pretty active, and that there was a real value to kind of being healthy. I think quality of life and being healthy and being fit and again, like I grew up in a place where we didn't really have television and PlayStations and stuff. We're not
Yeah,
really they were very expensive. We couldn't really afford them. So we ran and we played sport and we adventured and we were living in the bush. When I say the bush, like the like wilderness areas. So we
yeah.
go to the lion conservation or we'd be working on elephant areas or
You know what
and
all that makes you, Chris?
what
That makes you an honorary Gen X.
Oh yeah, so that makes me. Yeah, I mean we're pretty far back behind. Like Africa was in isolation when I was a kid. We just came out South Africa. We just had Robert Mugabe in Zimbabwe, and then we moved to South Africa, and we just came out of like an apartheid period where obviously they were isolated from the rest of the world.
Yeah,
So it took 10 years for the country the world to kind of catch up South Africa to catch up with the rest of the world of even things like fashion and stuff. Like we were wearing like everyone, talks about like the 70s and the 80s fashion. We're still wearing it in the 90s. It was it was very much part of my childhood. But it was cool. Like I learned a lot and I'm really grateful that I got to do those things and running I will keep doing it until I can't do it anymore. And I'm sure there'll be a point where I can't, your body slows down, but it's the best fitness and the ability to get around on your own steam is a valuable thing to do, and it really keeps you fit, keeps you strong, keeps your lungs healthy. So and the gym is great and wonderful, but I use it more for like strengthening and rehabilitation to be able to run stronger or to be able to sing better or to be able to
I
like
got
hold
you.
my posture better. I don't use it to like put on a lot of muscle,
Yeah,
which muscle looks great, but you've also got to carry it around and it's heavy. It's hard to run with. So
it's the quandary, right? It's the
yeah, it's finding that middle ground. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I think that's what I mean, and I always tell people it's like better's better. It's like,
Yeah.
how hard is diet for you when you're
I'm terrible. I'm terrible. I have like a special shake that I use, like a shake that gives me all my nutrients and my greens and everything
yeah.
in the morning. And then I'll take that in the morning, and then the rest of the time is pretty much a free for all if I'm hungry. I'm pretty open. I won't. I will stay away from. I've kind of stopped drinking quite a lot. Like I found that the alcohol, although I like a good beer as much as the next guy. I don't do that as often anymore. Just especially if I'm busy, I find it slows me down too much.
Yeah.
And then anything with sugar, like sugary drinks, like Coke or something like that, like Coca-Cola, like it can be quite that can really like make you feel heavy and stuff. So diet-wise, as long as I'm drinking a lot of water, I get my stuff, my kind of shake in the morning. Afternoon is free for all. I mean, I love good chicken. I love sushi. I love like anything I can afford. But I'll have a pizza with the rest of them.
Well, that's exactly. I, I don't know that. I mean, I've seen people like, especially when I travel a lot, they're carrying their little prepared food around,
Yeah,
and they're usually really ripped, so they're a bodybuilder or some kind of fitness competitor.
yeah. No, I
Because
respect that. I respect that. My mother does that. I'm not that organized, but yeah.
I'm not either. It's not, I've been in 5 different states in the last 5 weeks, so it's like
Wow.
just traveling for work, but
And do you
my
do like
my diet's rough.
yeah, I do think like when I was in the States, I really had to adjust for that. We have slightly different like I come from a country part of the world, so
Yeah,
like it's very easy to get hold of very fresh, healthy food and source it from meats that is kind of relatively untouched, from kind of hormones or chemicals or major shot. And that's very lucky. I think it's not it's a luxury that I'm very grateful for because I do understand that doing that in certain parts of the world is very expensive and very
yeah,
difficult to do. And yeah, I mean, listen, America's like I've some of the best kind of barbecue that I've had, and I mean, oh, the burgers you guys make, and like in Montana, and the elk steaks, and but you do have to look for it, and you do have to be prepared to like not go to a fast food place or not go to a like. I find like if I can stay away from McDonald's and KFC,
yeah,
like any fast food, and that will really make a difference for me personally. Some people can do it. I've got friends who do it, and they are like fitter, healthier, stronger than me, and they still have a McDonald's. I don't know how they do it, but I can't do that as
yeah.
easily.
As well as most of the people can't do that. So your friends are burning some serious calories if they're
Oh man, they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. They're doing something. They are like
yeah.
they're killing it. Yeah. And do you drive? Do you drive like to a lot of the states? Was it flying mostly?
It, within reason. Like I go to Dallas a couple times a year and I'll fly because it's
Yeah.
just I mean gas prices aren't helping, but now I can get on my Southwest frequent flyers and get free my points and all that and fly to Dallas for free.
I mean, yeah, that's the best way to do it if you can swing it. I
Yeah.
do love a good road trip though.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I go on road trips.
I do love a good road trip. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's my wife wants to go on road trips, and like I just say, look, give me some time to stay. I want to be home.
Yeah, if you're traveling as much as you're doing, like I get it. You got to just kind of like recover, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's waiting for me to come home so we can go out to dinner, and I'm like, I can't wait to come home and eat dinner at home. So
Yeah. No, I do get that a lot. And I do feel that sometimes I get home and I'm like, I just don't leave the house.
yeah,
They're like, we've been here for 3 weeks, we haven't seen you. And I'm like, yeah, and I'm not going out tonight.
exactly. Well, and then like we talked about with the jet lag and everything,
Oh yeah.
takes a few days. I'm just like, give me a bit.
Yeah, jet lag. Jet lag is its own thing. It's wild. I just never cease to. I read a really interesting article about like a jet lag like can really age you. Like your brain like really has to work hard to deal with jet lag.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
quite interesting.
like for me, and maybe a little bit for you, but like I can be a little tired and still do my job. So I always talk to like athletes that are like, I've had a few Olympians on the show, and I'm like, how do you travel to Italy, and then you have to be within a half second of your marks and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
I do. Yeah.
you have to be sharp.
Yeah, the Olympians is always an interesting one, and I was lucky enough when I was doing sport in Australia. Like my training squad, we had four Olympians, two gold medalists, and yeah, it was always interesting watching like trying to manage, learning how to manage that. And you're right, jet lag's a real factor. But a lot of the time, like I don't know how the guys who do it. Like I think the baseball guys are amazing in the States, like playing day after day and then traveling and playing the next day.
Yeah,
That's really impressive. And same with like anyone who does explosive sport and having to do it. I mean, the rugby in my part of the world, rugby is a big, really big thing, and those guys will fly to like New Zealand and then have to play like the All Blacks
yeah,
like that week, But normally they kind of give themselves a couple of days to do it, and that's when flying business class is genuinely like a necessity, I think.
yeah, yeah.
Try to
Well,
sleep on the
the
plane.
a couple of the MMA fighters I've talked to, they'll definitely go a week or two or three, depending. Like there were some fights in Mexico City, and they had the altitude as well as the time difference. So
Yeah, the altitude's a big one. Altitude's a big one. And I guess the earlier you get up there, the better, I suppose. And if you can train at altitude or in those chambers and get the
yeah,
kind of the blood count up and stuff. But I mean, MMA fighters, they're just special. Those guys are really like they're real athletes. I think people underestimate how fit and strong you're going to be able to pull that off. I mean,
yeah.
our boy just lost the title there, Dricus Duplessis lost the title on the last weekend, unfortunately.
Was Whitaker
Uh, can't remember who he fought. No, he fought I want to say a Russian guy, but yeah, a really tough guy.
or oh yeah, DDT.
Yeah, Dricus
Yeah,
just kind of lost the. I mean, I would like to see a fight where it doesn't stay on the ground like that, but Um, yeah, those guys are super fit. Like Dirkus and those guys are super fit. And just the ability to kind of take the hits, stand up, do it again, take the hits. It's they're pretty special. So I definitely can't compare stuff to what they're doing. I don't know what those guys are doing to stay to keep going.
Well, see life is always relative, right?
Yeah, yeah, it is. I mean, those guys, like I always think like when it's tough, like some of the guys were like bricklaying at like altitude or like building or having to fight for a living. It's being a musician's pretty fun and pretty cool. I'm like, yeah, you guys jump in that ring. I'm good. I'm gonna watch you guys do it from here. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go stand on stage and sing.
Yeah, I'm gonna sing and I might, my voice might be a bit sore, so I'll have some lemon water. Like, and I'm
And
sure.
that's real too. Like, I mean, like I said, I can perform pretty much. I can have a sore voice. I can be a little sick and still do my job. And you get one chance to make an impression on that crowd, and you're like, oh my God, I'm not feeling great, and I still have to go out.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's where the musical theater thing comes in. I mean, I'm really lucky, and you do 8 shows a week
Yeah,
doing a musical theater gig, and a lot of those songs, like a couple of them, be very, very difficult, very complex, very high. And you just got to go out there and do it. Like you've got to figure out a way to do that 8 times a week, sometimes twice a day, 2.5 hour show. A lot of it comes down to like vocal management, steaming your voice. Like it gets really like not going into situations where there's a lot of noise. So you're not speaking too loudly, you're not straining your voice. So the musical theater thing really taught me to kind of manage that. So that actually so far, touch wood, hasn't been as big of a problem with the kind of my music.
yeah,
But I've done some shows in musical theater where I've been pretty nervous going out there and hoping that no, it's going to happen. Yeah.
yeah. I can't even appreciate it. I had one singer, Lorraine Lewis, she's a rock singer. She doesn't speak to anybody on the day of her when she's performing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and that you can do that. I mean, I know people who do that. I know people who go out the night before and drink the whole night, get in at 3 a.m.,
Yeah,
get up an hour before the gig and still be perfect. So it is very much a who you are and kind of how you sing and what you do. And I'm very jealous of those people. I'm very much very aware that I'm performing. I'll get up, I'll do a warm up. I'll do
yeah,
like vocal exercises to kind of stretch the voice. Breathing exercises, make sure I'm breathing in the right place. I like to be quite technical about my singing. So yeah, especially coming from a classical background.
yeah. Of course.
Yeah,
Do, what show? Do you have any shows coming up?
yeah. I got a show coming up in November, end of November, at the Green Note in Camden. It's pretty cool, kind of very
Nice.
small, kind of quaint spot. We're playing an acoustic set with a couple of mates of mine. We're gonna get some people to come in there, and it's on their website. We've also got I'm actually recording a new album in New York, end of September, beginning of October, so I'm there for a bit. So that's the main focus right now. Is just getting some good music written and ready to go.
Just working on songs.
Yeah, that's been the big one. Working on some songs. I've got a single releasing on Friday, which would be pretty cool. It's a little bit more kind of travel, but as you say, like you talk about the kind of releasing singles. This is kind
Yeah.
of very much part of that kind of approach and just keeping stuff while I'm writing this album that I'm pretty excited about. We've got some really cool stuff. So I think we've got a great team, got a great producer on it. So it's really exciting to kind of get that and hopefully I'll get some good play as well.
And then tour.
Yeah, tour we're looking at next year. But I'm a nightmare with my managers. I'm like, yeah, you guys worry about that. I'm just gonna worry about getting this music done the right way.
Yeah.
I'm very like and then like the tour if the music's good and you're performing it well, hopefully, we'll get picked up. We'll get some good opportunities. I've got a couple of festivals lined up next year in the UK and I'm hoping that we can kind of keep building on that and then head out on tour. I'd love to kind of get stateside to do a full tour in the States. That's very much the thing. I'll be in Nashville October as well, kind of chatting to some people, showing them some music, showing them playing a few sets and really introducing myself to the American side of things again, reintroducing myself, so
That'll be fun.
it'll be great fun. I can't wait. I love playing live. It's nothing better. Yeah.
Have you it sounds like you've always been a performer.
I'm usually quite shy. Like if I'm not on stage, I like to be on stage for the reason and tell a story. Like if I'm watching a show and somebody calls me up on stage, I want the ground to swallow me up. But I just love singing and I love telling the stories. Whether it's like Sondheim in a musical or
Yeah.
it's me writing something down and thinking it's a great idea and then sharing it with people. Music's always been like it transcends language and culture and when it's done well. So it's always just a wonderful kind of approach to look at things.
And
Um,
is it cathartic for you? Do you get out things that you typically wouldn't otherwise say?
yeah, oh yeah. It can also be the opposite where you're writing a song and it's just terrible. It's like, you can get both, but I also love collaborating and working with people. It's quite fun to sit down and write a song with someone because
Yeah.
you've got your perspective and then they got their perspective, and then you can kind of phrase things or look at things from different people's perspectives in a way that you never would otherwise. Whether it's a certain melody doing something or the way a lyric's written or the way somebody writes a song. If you're writing somebody you don't know or somebody new, like I was working with an amazing songwriter last week, and she's very like story driven. So she's like, no, no, let's tell the story first. And I was that day I had melody stuck in my head.
Yeah.
So like I kept trying to come from, and then we both had to kind of adjust to work together, and we ended up writing a great song. And I love that kind of thing, like really finding ways to kind of work together, and we're not machines, we're not AI. We can't just kind of sit down and some days some things will come out, other days other things will come out.
Yeah.
And really kind of managing yourself and your body and working with the people around you and the influences around you to kind of create something that's not there, at the beginning. And I really enjoy that. I get a real kick out of that. Yeah.
That's the cool part too. Yeah.
Mm.
I could see that being fun.
Oh yeah.
See, I have no musical skills whatsoever, so I just appreciate music.
I mean, I think somebody appreciates music. I think I always tell this to a lot of my friends and people I've worked with, and I say like, if you like, everyone can tell a story, turn a phrase, and then it's just a matter of practicing like anything and doing it over and over and over and over again. And no
Well,
matter
but I see. I don't even try. For me, I don't try and do that because I think the musician, like, if you hear a song, how are you hearing it? Like, for you, like, you're like, oh, that lyric, oh, they use that word to transition into the chorus, and they did an upscale and they changed the notes. For me, it's a good song. I'm
yeah.
not, I'm not breaking down the music and the intros and the.
Well, I think a really good song, and this for me is true anyway, is like I don't really hear that if the song's really good. I'm just hearing the song and I'm enjoying it.
Yes,
Um,
yes,
I think that's what makes a song really good, or a song that really speaks to someone. And then I'll have to like stop myself and be like, oh, and what did he do then? And then I have to go back and check it out, and try to figure it out. And usually it's even though you know what he did, it's very hard to kind of replicate that.
yeah.
Um, if you try to do what somebody's done, like Paul McCarthy, like these guys, like we know what they did, but trying to do what they do that is very, very difficult. Because they had a voice and a moment in time that was really working for them. You know, uh, and like same with guys like Stapleton. And then there's other musicians who I hear the music and I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely wouldn't have done that or okay. No. But the second I'm thinking that way, it's probably not the song that's for me anyway. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Like, so I think a lot of people need to just trust themselves in like what's good and what isn't, because I think they'll surprise themselves.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I really like the song. It's not that big, but I really like it. And sometimes, Oliver Anthony's a really good example. This I don't know if you've heard of him. He's kind of
Who?
wrote a song with Oliver Anthony.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah, yeah, like his story is a great example of like somebody telling a story that's really real and people genuinely resonating with it.
yeah,
And he hasn't overcomplicated things and he's kept it pretty real. And so, that's kind of the songwriting dream, and the goal is to find something that resonates with people. That's genuine, I think. And then everyone can hear it and appreciate it and enjoy it.
yeah.
And that I think anyone can do that, and anyone can find like anyone be like, yeah, that was good. Oh, that was bad. Like you can feel.
I like what you said about country music being diverse because, like, Whiskey Myers is a southern rock band to me, but yet they're still in the country genre.
Yeah.
And the Teskey brothers kind of blend soul with, so you definitely, Jelly Roll and like you said, or Post Malone, and
Yeah.
there's definitely some you can make your own lane, kind of.
Well, it's what it's one of the reasons I think so much walks that line. I mean, you've got guys like ZZ Top playing like what a lot of people would think is rocks, and then other people call it Texas blues,
Yeah,
or
yeah, exactly.
it just depends who you're asking, where you're asking. But that's why country is so cool. Like, its roots come from this kind of gospel, folk, two different, very much different cultures, and then it all kind of merged together. You got Elvis, who did obviously very, very well. You got Muddy Waters, kind of his influence, but those guys would be like, well, those are blues guys.
Yeah,
But if you listen to like really good music, if you break down what Stapleton's doing with Springsteen's doing, like you very much see that in their music. I mean, there's an argument to say a lot of Springsteen stuff's country. You know, it's like it walks
yeah.
the line.
Well,
It really walks the
kind of
line.
folk pop, and
Yeah, and he's playing a Telecaster, and he's
yeah,
got he's got a big sound, and he's got very bluesy kind of horn sections, and I mean, he's very much a rock guy, but I love that there's always a kind of a give and a take
yeah,
in country music, which is cool. I mean, you get guys like Call to War, and these guys are very kind of like acoustic country,
yeah,
and then it goes all the way to, as you say, your kind of rock bands and stuff, which are like rock, but also sometimes country.
yeah,
Um, you know, the argument of what is country and what isn't country, like Post Malone, I think, did a great job of kind of figuring out what his country is, his version of country is, and Beyonce. I mean, that's an ongoing argument within the country world, whether that's a country album or not.
Well, and both those artists are from Texas, Post and Beyonce. So I mean, obviously, you have to be influenced by that being.
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to what Beyonce's influenced by with your Aretha Franklin's and stuff, I mean, it's grounded in a space that very much influenced country. So I think the cool thing about country is that it is diverse. I think that's why it appeals to so many people and why people get so passionate about it.
Well, okay, so we've had Post Malone, we've had Beyonce, kind of R&B. You've had some hip hop people break into it.
Mm.
I'm curious to see if you can kind of blend in a Michael Bublé, a Frank Sinatra, a Josh Groban type.
Well, I'd say like your
How do you do that?
Sinatra types would be almost your crooners, so almost your Cashers and your Hank Williams and like that very kind of croony kind of,
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
Hank Senior. Yeah,
Bublé's one of his biggest hits, that Home.
yeah.
Another
Blake Shelton
country.
crushed it.
Yeah, I mean, Blake Shelton wrote it. Like that's a country song that
Yeah,
went the other way. Like, so there's all of that stuff. You think of like Georgia, Georgia. That's also got like country roots. So I mean, even like those guys, like there was very much an understanding. Elvis, was he rock and roll? Was he country? Like
yeah.
he walked that line,
The
clearly.
R&B with it. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, classical music does there is classical music's in its own kind of world. So like anything that gets too classical is quite tricky. But I mean, if you see like what a lot of composers do, Jason Robert Brown, he's quite a famous kind of musical theater composer. But he did something like Bridges of Madison County,
yeah.
which is like, it sounds like it all fades away. There was something in the desert. It's got that kind of whine and fall off, and
And the
that's
drop.
very
Yeah,
country, yeah. So yeah, I would say like, I mean, Elvis and Cash toured together.
yeah,
Like, yeah. So there is there. I would argue that, yeah, you're right when it comes to kind of your. I mean, Sinatra is his own thing. He was kind of in his own realm. Michael Jackson's like it's very
I'm trying.
difficult.
Gotta. I just wonder if you could countryfy "Come Fly with Me" or "Fly Me to the Moon" or
Yeah, I reckon you could. You put a fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. You know.
see.
Yeah, it's and there is
There's
that
your
feel. I
next
mean,
hit. There's your breakout moment right there.
I'm gonna leave
Chris,
that
we
one to
just went viral and we didn't even know it.
I'm gonna leave that one to Sinatra. I love it, and I do sing a lot of swing, and I'm actually working on another album, kind of like a passion project where we're taking songs and we're doing a country version and like a big band version of each song.
Yeah, yeah,
So we're doing something very similar to that. So I do find that a fascinating thing to look at, and we're taking like pop songs like Robbie Williams. I don't wanna rock. You like TJ? I don't wanna rock, DJ. And we say that what we can do with that, and it's just fun stuff that, and then you're making that big band and swingy as well.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you put a good guitarist on most things, and
That's what I was saying. If you put a lap, a pedal steel and a little
yeah,
banjo or a little
maybe
fiddle.
a really good I love a good fiddle, yeah, like a really good fiddle. I think they can contrafind for most things a good fiddler.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So you had a lot of violin and string work on the Sinatra.
Oh yeah, oh
Yeah.
yeah. I don't think if you had the right, like, I think that's the cool thing about the musicians and the artists that you bring in to kind of create your final product. Those guys have a huge kind of voice in the music.
Well, okay. I tell people all this time, Chris Stapleton's biggest hit is what?
Also Tennessee Whiskey, I'd say.
Yeah. Who wrote?
Yeah,
That's a George Jones song,
yeah,
and,
yeah,
and the music's from Eartha Kitt.
yeah. And that kind of sums it up. I mean, and then you got Timberlake coming in and singing that with him, and you got,
Yeah,
and then Pink turns around when Stapleton's right with him. That's not rock.
exactly.
So yeah, it's cool. I like, and that's yeah, it'll be that like never ending kind of circle of life of like the music world, and and I like that it's getting more and more diverse country music. I think
Yeah.
it's a genre that'll keep getting bigger, and because so many people can relate to it.
Well, and like you said, whether it's Zimbabwe or Australia or New Zealand, I mean, the ranch lifestyle is not just Texas or Oklahoma.
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of people, for me, like they need to trust that their country, sing what you know, sing what you feel, sing
Yeah,
what you like, tell a story that you understand. A lot of people try to tell American stories when they're not from the States, and
yeah,
and I that doesn't always go over that well. And again, it's personal opinion, but I mean, Australia's got some amazing country artists coming through. Like
yeah.
some of those guys coming through national are just unbelievable. Scotland's got a couple of great ones coming through. I can quite believe it. I've seen the UK's got some great artists coming through. So there's a lot of stuff, and I think there's a great wave of kind of diverse country coming.
Yeah.
And not just. I mean, America's always going to be kind of the home of it. There's just so many people and so big and so diverse as a country.
Well, yeah,
But
and you have more fans just in general.
yeah, there's more money there.
Yeah.
Much more money. But there's a lot of stories being told in other countries that are becoming like the quality is getting really good. Yeah.
Synergy you said Scotland. I work at the NFR, the National Finals Rodeo, the World Championships every year,
Oh yeah.
and we had people from Scotland fly in just to go watch the rodeo there.
Oh
They're
yeah. I love a good rodeo. Yeah.
and you can barely understand them, and they're speaking
Oh no,
somewhat
Scotland.
English.
I don't know here anymore. Talking Scottish. It's Tennessee.
It's so thick, though.
It's very thick, especially like up north. But I got now everything's over here anymore. It's
Yeah,
like, good morning, Sage. And
and I'm
I'm like,
like,
I don't know what you're
excuse
saying.
me.
I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I'm not being rude, but I don't know what you're saying. Especially after a few Guinness, yeah, they get really kind of slurry.
Yeah.
Get a bit of Scotch, and then you don't know what they're saying. Yeah, but I love the Scottish. They're great
You
people.
break out the translator and it says English, kind of.
Yeah, English kind of, and then if they're drinking whiskey, just be like different language. Yeah,
Yeah, it's called Jameson.
yeah. And if you go west, you go from where I am, you go to Wales. I mean, the Welsh that they speak there is just it is very much a different language. It's wild.
Yeah,
You should go.
I like being in Japan because I knew I wasn't going to understand.
Yeah. No, no. Here it's sometimes like you go, "Hey, come again."
Yeah, yeah. I'm like I'm pretty sure I picked up a word.
Yeah, you're speaking English, right? And it's, yes. I'm like,
Yeah, of
okay.
course.
Some in my water.
So we got new singles dropping. We've got music coming. You've got projects. You're flying.
Yeah, yeah. It's going to be a fun kind of couple months. Yeah.
What's the best way for my listeners to stay in touch with what you have coming up?
Well, check me out on CJ Erasmus on Instagram. I've got a website that you can get through on the Instagram site. It's also Chris Erasmus Official is the website.com. But I've got a link that you can get onto anything you need to with my
Okay.
Spotify, my accounts, all of that stuff. Please give me a like, give me a follow. Let me know what you like about the music. Spotify's got great comment stuff now that you can kind of talk about. This we've got a email list. People can sign up to the email list. We can let you know what's happening
There you
and,
go.
and coming up and gigs coming up. And there will be a few more that kind of come onto the radar as I kind of wind down the album side of things. So we're pretty excited to get it out there
Yeah,
and get it playing, and we've got a great band, and everyone's really kind of ready to go. So
there you go. So I'll put links on my website as well and all my socials just so they can just
oh,
jump over
I
to yours.
I appreciate that. That really helps.
Well, I appreciate the time. It's
No, thank you for chatting. It's been great.
I love that was you got so much diverse. But I always wonder, like people look at you and go, "Oh, he's so lucky," but like you've been through a lot to
I
get
mean,
to
listen,
be lucky.
I'm pretty lucky, but the great Gary Player said, the harder you work, the luckier you get.
Yeah,
And adversity does kind of make diamonds sometimes if it doesn't break you. So I've been very lucky. I've had great support. I've had uh, unlucky things happen. I've had good things happen, and I'm still here and I'm still playing some music,
I appreciate it.
that's kind of how you keep going.
Well, if you ever get in LA, I'll have to
Oh yeah, no, I'll let you know. Yeah,
get
LA
close.
is on the list. Yeah, it's on the list. It's unfortunately not this trip, but it's on the list because I got to get back for my sister's wedding after Nashville, so I can't miss that.
I gotcha.
I'll get into
Well,
trouble.
enjoy the rest of the year, and hopefully I'll get to check you out live next year.
Oh, you too, and enjoy your travels, man.
You enjoy yours.
Oh, I will.
Thanks, Chris. Talk to you soon, bud.
Cheers,
Cheers.